मैं विश्व भर में फैले हुए भारत प्रेमियों को, भारतीयों को आजादी के इस अमृत महोत्सव की बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। आज का ये दिवस not whiter than white. Na anya ya ka n'ihe ọjọọ, anya ya tụrụ mmadụ ibe anyị asị, anya ya ghọrọ anya ya aghọ mmadụ ibe anyị aghụghọ ndị Etiopia aghọ. Eziokwu ka anyị na-agwa ndị Etiopia ụtụtụ ehihie abalị. Anọ n'eziokwu ahụ ka anyị wee na-ekwu okwu n'ụbọchị nke taata. Anyị na-asụta isi wee kwu n'otu a ka oge si wee dị maka na eze gị ga-abịarịrị n'elu ụwa. Aka ọwụla si na agara abịa, aka ahụ ya agbaji. Anyị na-asị aka ọwụla ji Maazị Nnamdi ka na anyị na-asị aka ahụ ya agbaji n'ụbọchị nke taata. Ndị niile gọla aghụghọ wee jide nwa odibo ga anyị na-asị na ndị niile ahụ ga-anwụ osisi ka ha ga-anwụ osisi ihe ike ga na-eme ha maka ha ga-jide nwa anyanwụ ọ dịghị ihe o mere ha. Ọ na-ekwu eziokwu na-asị hapụ ụmụ Chineke ka ha na-asị mba. Anyị wee na-akpọkụ ga-eze onye ebere imerie ndị gboo kpọkụrụ gị za ha. Igbusiri ndị Fulani na Lower Benue na Islamic Army ha kpọkụrụ ndị mgbe kpọkụrụ wee za ha wee gbusie ha n'abalị ha nwụsịa. Anyị wee na-akpọkụ n'ụbọchị nke si na-ekpuchipụ ndụ isi ikpuchi ndụ na egbu ọchị nwụrụ anwụ. Anyị wee na-asị gị na ị ga-aza anyị ebere n'ụbọchị nke taa. Anyị na-asị ọba anyị ma anyị anabatakwana anyị makwara ya anabatakwana anyị bụkwara nwata anyị na-asa ahụ n'afọ anyị wee na-enwe ntụkwasị obi na ị ga-aza anyị ekpere maka na eze ka anyị na-achọ anyị bụ ụmụ gị anyị ma na-ịgbara na anyị ma na inyere anyị ala eze mana anyị aga nweta ya anyị tachi wee ya n'ụbọchị nke taata ka o si ụtọ ka ọ bịa mejuo n'ime ndụ anyị wee na-asị ise. No apologies, I speak in the language of the heavens. I'm only hears the prayer in our dialect in Igbo language. I'm sorry for those who doesn't understand Igbo. You can ask your friends to translate. But when we call upon the name of Chukwuka, then we call it in the language of the ancients. You see, the contrast of call zoo. There are some interesting headlines that today I had to discuss about them because it's not about them, it's about us. But we just want to draw reference from it. One said 2023 election under threat of IPOB terrorist activities, General Dambanza. I just want to touch a bit about this Dambanza. Dambanza is former chief of staff and minister of interior. This man is part of the presidency, in the zoo. It's not president, it's presidency. He's among them that are giving the order, that are causing calamities, that are messing up everybody in that zoo. They thought that they will hold everybody ransom with their iron fist, that everything is by force. They import their brothers from Niger and Chad. And the interesting part of it, Niger said the other day, yes, they justified the 1.something billion car imposter give to them. They said they helped to defeat the Biafra. They donated a donkey during the Biafran war. So this is their reward. These are the men that try to make sure Nigeria is one so that we keep on milking us dry. When you hear presidency, this man is part of it. But unfortunately, they are talking about 2023 election. While the country is in turmoil, the things are falling apart. What they are interested is oil, lazy, blood-sucking demons. They are not interested of anything. They keep on siphoning, drying. And this thing, if you read the full article, they have agenda for us. You need to read beyond it. And if I'm not mistaken, what they're trying to say is IGB is planning to stop the election 2023. And for that reason, they want to justify to keep on holding our leader. I will say, the more you hold it, the more all of you will continue to die, the more calamities will be falling on that country. If you like, keep on doing. Since you have arrested him, what has happened? Everything our Mazi ALOZIE has said is what is actually befalling that country. He said your soldiers will march down the east, while your town and villages will be open for the ISWAP, and they are now taking over. You can't control them. Although they are working in connection, they are working in conjunction with some of you guys. But at the moment, soon, not later, you all will start killing one another. Because that prophecy must come to fulfillment. And that country contraction is gradually turning into Somalia. Remember his word. He tried to give us Biafra. Somalia will be paradise. And many of you are thinking, no, there will be a bomb, there will be this. No. The nation will disintegrate by himself with the help of corruption and with the help of ITOB. And we are heading that direction. There is no corner of that country that is safe. Clash, killing. Killing is nothing anymore. Killing is nothing anymore to many of them. But to us, it's barbaric. And in voices, another one says that Nigeria may divided much earlier than predicted. We have seen so many of this, that we have seen so many of these predictions talking this time around. We are confident because if you looked on every indicator, that country they don't have a president since 2016. How many years today? Since 2016, Buhari died. And ever since then, imposters been ruling them. And they have been siphoning the currency. Now the foreign airlines are saying that they will stop flying to Nigeria because Nigeria hold, I can't remember how they quote it, that they are unable to extract their money, over $600 million stuck in that compression. Jew does not have enough money to carry out the foreign transaction. As we saw on this holy radio, they hold us and then drilling our oil and our gas, selling and making profit. That's what we are saying. Any country that bought those gas and buy those crude oil, your economy will continue to suffer. And the money the profit you make from the oil, you will never enjoy it. Anywhere you put it, it will be calamity because they are stealing from the people. It belongs to the indigenous people. But because of selfish interests, the Fulani hold the whole people with gun. They import their mercenaries from Niger, giving them zoo uniform. Some are repentant Boko Haram, they mix them up. Those that knows the route, they send them to the east. And they are killing anyone they see that pass their path in the hope to keep us one, so that we continue to sell our oil and we continue to die polluting our land. Everything has expired dates. Unfortunately, zoo has expired since December 2013. But some people still try to hold on the umbilical cord. As I said last week, it's the Igbo people are those people that are holding that umbilical cord. But time has come. During the time of the Israelites in Egypt, when they left Egypt, not all the Israelites made it alive. Some were left in Egypt. The same in us, we going home, we have lamented for more than 10 years that our people in the north should come back home. We are no longer lamenting. In everything, you have a sacrifice lamb. You have today the Igbos in the north, northern Igbos. And that shouldn't stop us from pursuing our destiny, our God-given right to be free, just like any other nation. We were free before Fred Lugard came and say, you. Now your name is Niger area. And we reject that. We want to define who we are, just like the Western nation did. We are no different. We are human. Only one difference is our skin. We are capable of thinking. We are capable of ruling ourselves. We are sick and tired of Fulanis killing us in our land. We are sick and tired of them imposing the corrupt politicians, their boyfriends on us. They only seek for the interest of them. That is why that country never progressed. Because all the people that are ruling that country, they are foreigners, and what they're interested in is siphonning money out of that country. Nothing gets reinvested back. The little investment you get back is high, skyrocketing, very expensive. Average Jew cannot afford it. Yet, international community keep quiet because they are part and parcel of this corruption. They turn a blind eye. No media has talked here speak about it because they have bribed them with oil money. Instead, we send the Dankote, we go and buy off. Talking of Dankote, I remember when they bought the Starlink, our first satellite radio we are using. They tried everything possible. They can't stop us. They went and then bought the Starlink. God so kind, not up to a month or 2 months they bought Starlink. The satellite disappear in orbit. All the money go to West till today. And we still are. Enemy have tried so many times to stop us. And they keep on trying. And we know they are big. We know they are gigantic. We know they are spirit. We know they have everything. We have none. Only thing we have is a Chukwu Guardian and the word that is coming from our mouth. But sure, the victory is guaranteed. But this time, we have to fight and use our blood to get it. What we are fighting is a just cause. We are not asking for what does not belong to us. We have nothing in common with the Fulanis. Nothing in common. We didn't know who they are. They are foreigners in our land. Before the white men came, we were living in peace with our neighbors. And when they leave us, when Biafra is free, we will continue. We will go back to the way we used to live in peace with our neighbors. Because what they did is that today they did a divide and conquer. Instigate a violence. Make sure you are not at peace with your next door neighbor so that they will be benefiting. Only if we can open our eyes and we can see the truth, everyone will rise up. Nobody is holding us from going home. I can say that, I repeat that loud and clear. Nobody is stopping us from going home. We are the indigenous people. That land belongs to us. And like Heshodi said, anything the government wants to do in that land, they must first seek authorization from the indigenous people. We own the land. We determine our future. Not the foreigners determine how we live, when we go to bed, when we sleep, and how we drive on the road. It should be our right, and we should fight for it. As we always said, what is important to us is to be free, not of PVC. What is important to us is to be free as a free people. We must continue doing what we do best. And we must continue to remember our leader in prayer, because that man is a godsend. That man is one in a million, 1 in 1,000 years. He's our savior of today. And Pukuk Gadiam is with him. He will use him to destroy that zoo if they do not let him go and apologize and compensate of everything. He's so kind and nice to them, but they show him evil. And those that conniving, the foreigners that connive with the Biafrans or with Igbo's extraordinary rendition, all of you are going to perish. Unfortunately, those that you work with Biafra's extraordinary rendition, in their punishment, those people punishment will come later on. But as we speak, it's your turn, because you involve your hand in what you should not. Ishukukajama will use his hand to punish those of his children that are derailing the coming of his kingdom. All we are saying is, what we are doing is that we are just proclaiming the coming of Biafra. We are just using our mouth, and the world is panicking. We don't have arms. All we have is just speaking that truth. And the devil is on the run. We must continue to remain strong. It doesn't matter the situation we find ourselves. What is important is every morning, what will I do to advance the coming of Biafra? What shall I do? If he leave, he said, "Oh, it's not my business. It's Mr. Okafor business." Mr. Okafor, we say, Mrs. Brown problem. At the end, nobody will do nothing. And as we say in our adage, $1 keeper. So we are holding ourselves. We should raise our heads high. I will say this thing before I hand over microphone to my colleague. Before I joined ITOB struggle many years back, because it's 10 years now I've joined ITOB. Those days, if one talk about Biafra, say, if you mention Biafra, I just feel ashamed of associating myself with Biafra. I just see Biafra as something that is it's not holy, it's not worthy, it's disgusting. The reason I'm pointing this is this is the mindset, the picture they paint in our head as a child as we are growing up, that Biafra is a taboo. Just like when they talk about Arochukwu, they say, "Long Juju, you are Juju this thing," because they don't want you to know who you are. They use all these names to confuse you. Those that do not know their destiny, do not know doesn't know anything about themselves, their culture, are West human beings. You lose the identity. And that is exactly what they want us to do. For us to lose our identity. And when you lose the identity, you lost it all. Brother, it's very, very important. We be proud of who we are. They made us to hate ourselves. But today we know better, thanks to Mazi Kanu. Thanks to those that listen to Mazi Kanu, and God bless Mazi Kanu, because we graduated from Radio Biafra. He opened our eyes. We start seeing things. We start to understand things. We start to know who we are. Then we start to research. Today, I can tell you, I am proud of being Biafra. I didn't say it proudly anywhere you go. Who are you? Where are you from? And Biafra, where is it? I will tell you exactly. We should be proud of who we are. We fought the entire world for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Fulani didn't fight us. We fought the entire world for 2.5 years. We are great people. We should join hands once and for all and regain our freedom. This freedom will bring everything we dream of. Like our leader said, every clan in Biafra, I think we have about 9 clans or 12, I can't remember. Every clan will have their own parliament. They will have their own rule. They will make their own rule in their own language. They will control their resource. Then we have a commonwealth that will unite. The commonwealth will be in charge of the border, the military. States will pay tax to the federal. Federal will run the country. Imagine where every clan has their own parliament, speak their own language, control their destiny. Our youth will be employed. Our youth will use their God-given destiny to develop something that will advance the mankind. Instead of riding Okada, doing a street hawking. These are the advantages we are getting on selling spare parts. You do not make any good living from selling a pass. Buying and selling, excuse me. Buying and selling is a survival our fathers used to survive after the war. World has moved beyond that. And we need to change, we need to adopt, we need to move as well. Imagine where there is a lot of jobs. Construction, our leader said, for the 50 years we keep on building Biafra day and night. Just close your eyes, imagine how beautiful it will be. After dreaming, after seeing a vision of how wonderful Biafra will be, you still want to remain in that contraction called Nigeria. I don't think so. You should not be afraid, because our enemies are the people that are afraid. They are afraid of us. So long we remain truthful in what we are pursuing, we will conquer. Biafra will be restored. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I will hand over microphone to my colleague, Mazi Kenifidia, and yielding to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazi. Thank you for well delivered opening speech. I'd like to start by acknowledging my colleagues here tonight with me, and acknowledge our audience, acknowledging obviously our hosts tonight. And just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and of course, every Wednesday we come to you to rub minds together to talk about our struggle. There is a lot to talk about as things unfold, but what is more important is focus and consistency, as Mazi has mentioned in his opening speech. We need to understand why we're doing what we're doing and why we have to do what we're doing. Why this struggle conducting has to be done. It has to be done, not just from a political point of view, as a people who are seeking to be free and independent and conduct their affairs, but even from a moral point of view. What we're trying to do is what is called restorative justice. It's called restorative justice. Look at our history as an enslaved people and then subsequently colonized people. There has never been a justice about that whole thing. Biafra is about restorative justice. We are trying to restore what was taken from us by force. The dignity, the human dignity, the human rights that we are taking from us by force by people who are not members of us, of our clan. That's what we're trying to restore. We're trying to make right the wrongs that we have done in the past, in the whole Africa. But we'll start with Biafra. We'll start with Biafra. And so it's very, very important that we do not listen to any other thing, that we do not lose focus on what we're doing. It is very, very important. Someone thinks that, the world has moved on, somebody told me. And the world has moved on, yes, but you all people have not moved on. We are not making a progress. The fact that we are living in other man's land, the fact we are able to travel to Australia and live in Australia does not make it right. Okay, no Igbo man abandons their family, their compound, for another man's land. The only time that happened was during slavery. And slavery was a coercion, was an activity, business activity that was done at a gunpoint. But these days we are willingly giving ourselves away to other countries, to those who was enslaved us and colonized us. We are rushing to get their visa to be able to travel to their land to serve them. We are willingly submitting ourselves to slavery. And so this is why when we travel and we understand in our, if you like, social consciousness deep in, we start reacting against these things. That's why most of us are so passionate about the struggle. As Mazi said, it's been in the struggle 10 years from the beginning. Most of us have been in the struggle for that long. Most of us have never traveled home since then. Because some traveled and were arrested and all that. It's a big sacrifice we're making. But we're happy to make this sacrifice in our own lifetime so that our children, generation to come, will not have to go through what we've been through. That's what is called social responsibility. We've come into this world, we've seen what our parents, our ancestors went through, and we've resolved not to go through the same. It's called social responsibility. We've taken the social responsibility to make correction in our own lifetime. But why are we to make sure that Biafra comes? Because self-determination is the basis of human dignity. You cannot have a dignity as a human person unless you have freedom. Freedom to choose what to do with your life. Freedom to make the most important decisions about your destiny. That is what we lack. That is the fundamental human right. Self-determination. That no other person, no other country, no other community, nobody outside you, nobody but you can decide what happens on your life. As we are now as a people, the decisions about how our life are run, whether it's our economic life, whether it's social-political progress in Nigeria, whether our resource protection, resource development, resource, whatever you call it, that decision is not in our hands. Someone else, some people are making that decision for us. That's why I see people that are jumping up and down and saying, getting carried away easily by the political atmosphere in Nigeria that is intensifying day by day. I see them as perhaps ignorant, that they don't understand the complexity of the problem we face. Do not understand the complexity of the problem. Because if you do, you will understand that willingly we are submitting ourselves. We are perpetuating our slavery. The more you want Nigeria to continue, even for a good purpose, you are willingly signing off your fundamental human right to be you, to decide what you do in your own life. You're signing that up to Britain, to all the colonists or colonial powers. If you understand what that means, you will think and you will make a resolve to never abandon the struggle, to do everything possible within your power to support what we're doing. But that's what's happening now. That's what's happening. And that's what we're doing, trying to change the way our people live. We're trying to change the way our people live. So if you look at it from that point of view, moral necessity, it is something that we ought to do, fighting for Biafra. Because it is something that first will restore our lost dignity. And that's why I said from the beginning, Biafra is a restorative justice. We are trying to restore what was lost. We are trying to get justice for the injustice committed on our people. But if you continue to support the progress of Nigeria, if you continue to support Nigeria in its vegetative state, in its life support state, you are perpetuating the struggle of our people. You are prolonging the suffering of our people. Basically, that's what it is. That's what it is. No country in the world will respect you if you have no self-determination. No country of this world will ever respect you if you come from Nigeria. Our people travel to UK, to Australia, to America, to every other place. And they say, oh my God, as soon as I got to the airport, their border protection officers, they disrespected me when they saw my Nigerian passport. Yes. Why wouldn't they disrespect you? They know your history. They are making decision in 21st century. They are making decision how you are alive. They decide what happens in your life. They decide how you live your life in 21st century. And you are happy with that. You are satisfied with someone other than you making a decision about your life. That is the most disgraceful thing you can ever think of. Think about our children. Think about the little people we are bringing into this world. Think about in 70 years' time, in 50 years' time, and we're still wallowing in this mess called Nigeria. And we are still pretty much maintaining colonial legacy by keeping Nigeria alive on life support. What are our kids going to be like? The kids that we see here today, they are kids. We also abuse our kids. They will also abuse our kids. Because our kids have self-determination. Self-determination is what makes you a man. If you are not self-determined, if you don't have self-determination, you cannot, and I say you cannot be able, you cannot be respected on a global level. Think about our culture, how we respect, the kind of respect we give to married young man, and it's not the same compared to the respect we give to a man of his age but has not married, a man that has come of age to marry but has refused to marry, to enter into a family life. The respects are not the same. It is exactly the same when it comes to international sphere. And someone thinks that, oh, that's normal when we are not the first to be colonized. But look at all the colonized people. The psychology of colonized people is part of my research area, and it's exciting for me, but it's also very, very sad. It can be very morally damaging when you are analyzing how our people behave and the lingering devastating impact of colonization on our people. So you cannot always blame colonization. Yes, it happened in the past, and it's an injustice, yes. It's a historical injustice that we have moral responsibility to correct, to make right in our own time. But also we have moral responsibility to assert our place in the whole world. And how do you assert your place in the whole world? Oliver the Cook said, "What can roll on here? A poor landlord also. It did a flower. How can you be living in another man's land? How can you be living under someone's custody? And you behaving as if you are the landlord. You can never live like a landlord because you are not the owner. You are a property of your owner." Think about this. Every day you sing in Nigerian anthem, you are acknowledging Britain for the work they do. You are not condemning it, you accept it, and you embrace it. Whatever injustice melted on your people, on the generation before you, melted on you, because you guys religiously make that stupid comment, the ancestral curse. Then why are you perpetuating the ancestral curse when it comes to fighting for Biafra? Why are you not fighting for Biafra to be free? Any day you talk about election, oh, which party to vote for? Who is the next savior in Nigeria? Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that in Nigeria. You are not indirectly, you are directly saying to Britain, thank you for colonizing us. Thank you for enslaving us. Thank you for all what you've done to make us inferior and less human beings. And if you're doing that, anybody that is fighting for Nigeria has lost the moral right to condemn white supremacy and racism. So don't travel and sit and come back and say to us, I was racially abused, I was racially discriminated. I look at the intellectuals, those that think they're so smart. You know, when people do not know, our people, the kind of education we were given or we obtained was education that was designed to only maintain colonial legacies. So we are trying to maintain institutions of colonization, to maintain the work of those who enslaved us. And so those of them that have come through this kind of education, this Eurocentric colonialist education and mentality, they tend to present themselves to the international world so that those who enslaved them can acknowledge them. It's called affirmation. They're seeking validation. They're seeking affirmation, recognition, so that Harvard will give them recognition, and so that this one will give them recognition. Oxford recognize them. But watch when they speak. No mention of the plight of their people. No mention of slavery and colonization. No attempt to hold Britain, America, and all these colonist countries that are making Africa to continue to suffer in the first century, economically and politically. No one is condemning this. If all these intellectuals, what they are conscious of is how to present themselves to those who colonize them, so that they will be found worthy, so that they will be found worthy on the international scale. That's it. And so they will come to you and say, oh, well, it does not matter. It does not matter. Someone who is educated, anytime you are championing the cause of Nigeria, anytime you are defending Nigeria, you are telling the whole world that you are stupid. And those who colonize you, they know this. They may have given you scholarship to study. They may have told you what to study about. They tell you what to talk about. They tell you, tell us what we want to hear. Never criticize us. Never do all of that. I will continue giving you recognition, different awards for the work you're doing. What kind of work you're doing? You have become a tool in the hands of those who make your people suffer. And your role is to perpetuate the suffering of your people, is to continue worsening the situation of your people. So those intellectuals in our midst should know this. That those they think they are trying to find affirmation and validation from, those that are trying to please, they are laughing at them. White people laugh at us. Some of us intellectual, some of them intellectual, I'm not intellectual. But some of them who are stupidly educated, you see them, talking about every other thing except what benefits their people. They dab into British politics and into British law, to American law, international this and that, speech about human rights, speech about feminism, speech about everything except the freedom of their people. They cannot openly challenge the international powers that are annihilating their people. They cannot do this. You know why? Because the education system they passed through was designed by those who created them, their gods. The British designed your education system so that you will pass through this education for our own benefit. You will pass through education, you will appear to be wise and intelligent. But all what you know is what we've wanted you to know. We've conditioned your learning system so that it conforms with our colonial agenda. And you will never ever stand against this our agenda. That's why there's so much quick to embrace the white man's life. Very quick to embrace the white man's life. They take a photo where they snap a picture with a white person, an African person in the first century. It's a share. It is a big share. So I always say that I'm never gonna be proud or even claim to be so happy to be living outside my father's house, outside of my father's land, to run away from my father's land. Biafra. It is not a thing of pride, it's a thing of shame. No man ever be proud of this. But you know what? When a white person tries to be racist to me, I confront them head on. I confront them immediately because you know what? I do not care. I know what they know. I confront them straight forward with. Because if you let that slide, just because you want a job opportunity, you want to maintain your job, you are studying, and you want to be seen as a nice person, that's called the validation syndrome. You must break through this validation syndrome and attempt to make yourself acceptable by those who oppress you. It plays on international level. You can see it with our intellectuals. But even if you come down on an intra level, within the Nigerian system, you can also see it with our so-called Igbo leaders. They position themselves in a way they cannot question the Fulani oligarchy. They can never publicly, openly, boldly defend their people against Fulani aggression. They must always make themselves present themselves in a way that they are validated by the Fulani cabal. It's playing out. That's what's happening. So it is a moral responsibility. It's morally contingent upon us that we restore Biafra in our lifetime. It is something we ought to do. It's not something if we want to, we get involved. It's not a very if you want to, you jump in, you jump about. No. It is a moral responsibility that as a people, we collectively work together to restore our dignity. It's called restorative justice. That's what it's like. Oh, Britain, they built, they gave us this, they did this, and then there's education without the it is a intellectual argument of intellectual. It's not meant to be listened to. So they change your name. Listen to this. Africans, colonized people, are the only people that have never made any decision about their own destiny. We didn't decide. We didn't choose to worship the way we worship. It was through colonialism. The predominantly Eurocentric education system that are designed to maintain colonial institutions, colonial legacy, colonial power was not of our choice. We inherited it. Talk about our name was changed. Our names were changed without our authorization. We did not authorize that. We were meant to abandon our religion. We were meant to abandon our culture. The moment you look at this, you see why. You see why some of us, majority of us, don't get what is happening. Someone told me, oh, but they did this, they did that, that was also good. If this didn't happen, that would not have happened. So you think a white man left the UK, a British man, some of you have not traveled, you don't understand British people, or even Caucasian in general. They do not they do not give when there is no benefit. Even some of them, when they give charity, they're giving it because they can claim it. They will have some reduction in taxation. So they give to charity. It's not because they're giving necessarily because it's going to benefit somebody, but because it's going to make them pay less taxation, less tax to taxation office. So you do not understand these people. No white man, no British man left England to create a country for you, for your own good. It can never be for your own good. You know, what people now say, the Colombia see the Kwama, you don't know that cousin. The global politics is a game, it's a competition. Colonialism is based on a capitalist competition. They tend to own you, to have ownership of you, of their resources, of their land. They've taken our land, they've taken our mentality, our minds. That is why we are in this big mess. Because they took the land and the resources, whatever is in it, but they took also our minds alongside. And then there is a perpetuation. There is a continuation of that. There is a circle of perpetuating slavery. So there is nothing good that can come out of Nigeria, out of the mess you call Nigeria. We have to stand back and stand boldly and fight for Biafra and join our leader, Nnamdi, Kanu, and continue to make this fight. Because it's the fight that will bring ultimate liberation for our people. It is the fight that is morally necessary and required of us to engage in and to dominate and to win. We must win, because Biafra must come. If Biafra doesn't come, our children will continue to suffer. Africa will continue to suffer. There will not be respect for us when we travel with the Nigerian passport or with any African passport. African people are seen as conquered people. Any people that we are enslaved are seen as conquered people. But you see how Biafra will change the history of black men. It will undo what white man did. The moment we pull out from that union called Nigeria, that mess called Nigeria, it will be a step ahead. It will be a process by which a confederating indigenous nation, because we are all indigenous nation, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Igbos, we are all indigenous nations, and we are not homogeneous. We are independent, ideologically independent, but we are forced to coexist. But that's not organic coexistence. It's not how nations are built. It's not. So the moment we pull ourselves out of that mess, we will restore our lost dignity, our lost pride as a people. And then we will be the first, I think the first indigenous confederating nation that has a mastery colonialism, as Nigeria has, who will be the first to pull out of that mess and to correct what was the mistakes of the past, restore the justice that was lost. Without that, we will not move forward. Without that, we will not progress. Without Biafra, we are perpetually lost. So I will stop here and invite my colleagues to contribute. But it's very, very important that we understand that I recap. What is it? That the fight for Biafra is a moral responsibility. That we are morally responsible to restore this. We have to do it because it is something that is morally right. It is morally incumbent upon us to restore Biafra. Second, the quest for Biafra is a quest for restorative justice. We are trying to restore the justice that was lost. In other words, we are trying to correct the injustices of the past. And thirdly, without Biafra, we will remain slave. We will remain second class to the white person. Like they say, oh, I'm Nigerian now. I have $2 million in my account. I'm now equal with a white man. No, you're not equal. As long as you're bearing the name Nigeria given to you by a white man, and your name is Anthony given to you by a white man, every Sunday you go to church, built for you and indoctrinated, a process of indoctrination made by a white man for you. And you're bragging about your educational achievements, including scholarship in this and that, a system built, a Eurocentric system built by those who colonized you. And you don't know your history. The little thing that we know about history is the one that we are told by the white person. That is why every colonized people, their history begins with the white man came. Even here in Australia, for Aboriginal Australians, what's their history? Oh, the white man came. What's the history of Nigeria? Oh, Lugard came. We are not people before Lugard came, 90s. Lugard came in the 90s. Nigeria was fabricated in the 90s. What about the indigenous people? What about our history? What about us as a people? I will stop here and I will invite my colleagues to continue. Mazi Silas, if you can make your contribution, please.
Thank you, Mazi. Thank you so much for that eloquency and very factual presentation. I thank everyone listening, our great audience, the Biafrans everywhere, and freedom lovers. As usual, I pray for all of our Biafran communities around the world and back at home. And we also jointly pray for our leader, Mazi Kanu, and wish that the decision reached by UN shall be implemented in full in no distant time. We pray to Chukwu Okikadama. We praise him for our lives and all that. Now, I will say that our people, we the Biafrans, we are at what I would call a crossroads. And I'll briefly look at it from before the advent of the colonial greedy masters. And they are coming after they have been and where we are today. Like the initial presenters have said, we have lived in the area called Biafra today more than 5,000 years as history and archaeologists recorded. We lived fairly and friendly with our communities in an organic setting. We created our arts, we developed at our pace. We had ironsmiths, we produced tools, and we did things that every other nation at that time did. And if you go back and look at history, you will know that something happened that made us to stop developing those tools or those arts that we used to develop. And what was that happened? The advent of the colonial masters, their effect we have not actually recovered from. They took us away from our path of development, our own indigenous course of development. They stopped it. They took away our human capital. They desecrated our land. They brought new religion, traditions, and values. And this was not done by just one group. Christianity came and questioned our own religion and our values. And when you have two options, when the brain, just take this as an example, when the brain is presented with two options, the brain goes between those two options. And in that moment of indecision, time is wasted, and the wrong decision can be made, and things will start slowing down and eventually stop. So we, the Biafrans, have been at this crossroad ever since the white people came to our land to colonize, pillage, and take whatever that comes out of our land. That is basically why they get into their, at that time, unworthy boats and come down to the coasts of foreign lands, shoot them with their then guns then, and threaten them to a point where they will submit, and then they will step into the land and ask them to do whatever they want them to do. Tell them that their own God is superior. Of course, they have a superior weapon. Of course, they killed some people from a distance, and people succumbed and did whatever they wanted. That was how they owned the entire vast land or geographical area called Nigeria today and some parts of Cameroon. That is why they are able to still control these areas through Commonwealth states that are members of the Commonwealth. Commonwealth, you mean Commonwealth when they can come to our land freely and we cannot go to theirs? You mean Commonwealth when they are always the chair of that group? It is not Commonwealth. It is a new colonial organization, like Mazi said, meant for affirmation of who is superior. If you do not move away from their own organization, if you do not remove your dependency on them, you cannot grow. If you don't go and seek education by yourself, research for yourself, you will not find. You will always be asking them, what was this? What did they write? What did they find? You will always ask them to feed you. So the essence of us looking to set up Biafra, looking to restore it fully, an independent Biafra, is to look away from all their stories, all the dependency we have in them, and be able to restart our ingenuity, be able to create our land the way we want it. Now, that is the summary of my beginning, and I will go back to this crossroads maybe and prepare it the way I would want it in the next broadcast, maybe on Wednesday. But let's go to the issues mentioned today. The Dambanza issue of trying to qualify or put credence to the 1.5 billion naira or dollar spent in Niger is an affirmation of the building of a new caliphate. It tells us this is a tip of an iceberg. It tells us where the Nigerian money has been going to for a long time. It is not, I can assure you, it is not only that amount of money that was given to them. And if they are still being paid for killing Biafrans, why are Biafrans happy? Why are Biafrans still living in a country that killed them? That same country is still removing resources from the Biafran land to pay those who killed Biafrans when Biafrans are not looked after. It shows the level of self-unawareness. It shows the level of stupidity. We try not to use those words, but that's what it shows. Okay, listen and open your eyes. Are you going to hear any of the Southeastern Senator or House of Rep challenge his comment? You will not. The only people that would counter their comment will be IPOB members. And that is why they don't want to see IPOB strive. IPOB is the only credible voice, the only credible opposition, the only credible a group that questions the anomalies in Nigeria, that tells Nigeria to stop nonsense. And IPOB will continue this until we leave that country. We need to separate peacefully. It happened in Singapore. It happened between Singapore and Malaysia. When Singapore was telling the Malaysians, forget about your religion, forget about your differences, forget about all this. Let's come together with one set of values so that we can develop the entire Malaysia, including Singapore, then into a strong nation. They refused. They saw they saw Singaporeans as troublemakers. And luckily for Singaporeans, the Malaysians asked them, okay, go. We don't want your trouble. Today, Singapore is the central or the economic hub of the entire Asia. Do you know that it was Singapore that ignited the economic development in China by telling them what to do, to open up, to get ideas in and use their population, their cheap labor, to turn manufacturing into what they have today. Today in China is the workshop of the entire world. If you call a meeting of 2 making engineers, you will have a stadium filled with Chinese who are 2 making engineers. Not everybody knew why they are so important. If you want to make anything, it has to go through a 2 making engineer. And that is why China is big. The reason I'm giving this example is it will favor all Nigerians. It will favor all ethnic groups in Nigeria if we separate peacefully so that everybody can develop at their own pace, so that everybody can massage their own ethnic values and ego to infinity. And those who want to grow can grow. Singapore, separating from Malaysia, allow them to develop. And today, Singapore is helping Malaysia to also develop. Part of the development we have in Malaysia today is because out of guilt and shame, they cannot remain as backward as they are. They have to mimic those they sacked, they chased out of their own state. So for us to grow as a people in that geographical area called Nigeria, we have to separate into sister nations, whereby people who want to wake up in the night can wake up in the night, and those who want to wake up in the morning can wake up in the morning. Whereby those who feel that killing people is a taboo can preserve life, and those who want to go on wiping out villages, wiping out indigenous communities can do that at their own risk. We do not want to share an environment where people do not value life. Biafrans value life. They know that. And for them to tag IPOB as a threat to 2023 election is a blackmail. They want to use every idea they have to blackmail IPOB. It's a lie. IPOB haven't said anything about the election. In fact, they have kept quiet and stayed away. Why are they calling IPOB? It's because they have nothing in their brain. go and run your election. IPOB is not in the north. IPOB did not leave the northern boundaries open for their nephews and those they call global citizens to come in. It was not done by IPOB. These are atrocities they are committing against the Biafrans. All these things are coming up because they hate the Biafrans. They will pretend as if we are one country, but they're not doing that. That's not what they mean. And this is why they're giving out resources to those they call their cousins in Niger, wasting the little resources that they should have used to build up Nigeria. After all, the Bauchi governor once said Fulanis are global citizens. And because they're global citizens, they're free to go everywhere or wherever they like. And to tell you that what they are doing it in cahoots with the presidency. Remember, the Nigerian presidency or president, whatever they call them, announced a visa on arrival to Nigeria. A visa on arrival to Nigeria, a country that has high unemployment rate, where most of the youth don't have job. Graduates do not have job. You open your door because you intend to import your cousins from every other part of Africa or world. And that is why the announcement of visa on arrival was a way to legalize the imported cousins of Buhari. So, and today we can see videos showing thousands of people carrying guns located in the bushes. How can you bring in a population when you haven't planned for the housing, when you haven't secured a place where they want to stay? Well, the Aruga attempts and the waterway bills and all that failed, and they still have to bring in this. We want to let the Biafrans know these Marudin Fulanis are in the bushes, they're everywhere, heavily armed and heavily resourced. Helicopters drop food for them. They know when to go there and feed them and all that. All these are happening before our eyes. And you have a lot of people from the Middle Belt, the Southwest, and the Southeast who are still doubting whether this would happen, whether these people that are being imported are here to kill us or not. Well, they want to wait and see their head decapitated before they will believe. And they may not be conscious to see the answers. Still on the blackmailing of IPOB, we received an information recently that Germany approached Nigeria to see if they can get gas supplied to them from Nigeria. And what the Nigerian presidency requested from Germany in return for the gas was to clamp down on IPOB. Do you see their thinking? Their thinking is to wipe out the Biafrans. That's all it is. They didn't ask Germany, oh, we want gas. Can you help us put electricity? Can you help us set up 1 or 2 plants in the southeast where this gas is coming up? This would be a genuine and honest request. They won't do it. If I am a Nigerian that likes Nigeria, and a country comes to me, I know they have the machinery, they have the plant. I will say, well, if you want gas, well, that's fine. We have gas, plenty of it. Can you help us set 2 plants that will generate electricity in the east? not in the north. If you say set it in the north, you are unfair because the gas doesn't come from there. Set the plant in the east. How hard is that? After all, you're not going to set it up. Those who want the gas will set it up and get the gas. That would be a fair negotiation. But no, they hate IPOBs. They want to kill them by all means. They tell Germany to clamp down on IPOBs. We are aware of this, and it will not happen. And also, the Fulanis are learning work. They started setting up Facebook pages, trying to use it to say Mazi Nnamdi should not be released for no reason. They're trying to use it to promote Gowon for fighting the war that led to the genocide of more than 5 million Biafrans. And forgetting that Gowon is not happy. In Gowon's state, many communities have been sacked and killed. Same for T.Y. Danjuma, those who fought this war. They are alive to see what General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu saw. General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, may his soul rest in peace, is 1,000 years ahead of these other people that they are trying to extol in order to generate jealousy amongst the Biafrans. But we're too smart for that. And they're also trying to force P2B to call IPOB terrorists, which the world know. IPOB is a peaceful family, simply asking for a peaceful separation of Nigeria. It is on record that they only go with their flags and chant that they love Biafra, they want referendum. The world can see that. And they have been killed since 1999 till date for simply requesting to have a nation of theirs. We are not terrorists, and that mudslinging will not stick. It will never stick. Eventually, we will restore Biafra. And when we restore Biafra, we will ask questions and take some actions. So, I will start rounding up by saying, since we mentioned P2B, the current 2023 election is simply a distraction to this. Saying this because it presents to those who are still considering whether Nigeria will be restructured, whether Nigeria will be redeemed, or whether Nigeria can become a state. It presents weak-minded people with another solution. Those who are scared to take the bull by the horn. It makes them think, oh, maybe there is a way here. But it is not a way. Nigeria has never been a nation and cannot be a nation. The current constitution that Nigeria is working on read or written by the people. So all the imperfections, all the major imperfections in that so-called document will always play and bring down anyone who wants to govern, especially those who want to be fair. There will be a lot of insensitivities. If P2B tries to do something, they will call him name, they will call him a terrorist, they won't listen. That acceptance won't be there because the value system is different and would not hold. And Nigerian leaders have always behaved like idiots. What do I mean by this? They want to satisfy their own self, their family, their clan, and their own religious inclinations. And once you have nepotism, corruption comes close to it. You lose track. You develop enemies around, and you don't value lives of those who are not from your community. And once these values start bringing conflict, then we are back to square one. So this is exactly why Nigeria has not stepped out. A country that would have drilled or gotten more than $60 trillion from the oil money that is being drilled since 1960s is still wallowing in poverty, has no substantial foreign reserve, have nothing to show for it. There are no roads, no schools. The tertiary education has collapsed. The academic staff union are only asking for a decent salary, and Nigeria cannot come to the table with that. The laboratories are empty. There's nothing there. If a country is not researching, that same country is depending on other people's knowledge to do whatever they have to do. That is why a country of more than 200 million, as they claim they are, don't have one lab that can reprocess or that can follow the process of producing vaccine. They couldn't do it. A country that have got no roads, no hospital, nothing. That is why we have to go. There's nothing there for the common people, and there's nothing there for Biafrans. We are not loved in Nigeria, and that love will not come because of the way the Fulanis and the other tribes look at us. They look at us with the kind of envy that no one would stomach. On that note, I will encourage Biafrans to remain steadfast. Do not allow the 2023 to distract you. It may not even happen because of the revelation or the information that we are getting. I thank everyone, and I yield the microphone to the next, to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mazi ALOZIE, for a wonderful contribution. 2023 may not even come. And I hope our listeners, our audience are paying attention to that and all the reasons for that have been provided. Thank you. And now I would like to invite Mazi Uche to please make this contribution. Mazi Uche.
Thank you, Mazi. Standing on all existing protocols, I would want to say a big thank you to all lovers of freedom and committed fighters in their struggle for the liberation of the people of Biafra. Thank you for sustaining the movement and working tirelessly day and night to restore the dignity of our people, to restore our stand in the world stage. From all of the contributions coming from my colleagues tonight, you will know that the problem of the black man didn't stop from traveling outside of their native land. because most of the people talking to you tonight, they've spent 30 years overseas, 20 years overseas, and they are well-established people. Well-established people who, if they do not get back to Nigeria today, they will live a fulfilled life. But like I would say, we are like Ozu Anakwa Hakwa. In our local parlance, if someone is moving aimlessly, you say they are like Ozu Anakwa Hakwa. We do not have rest because we do not belong here. No matter how long you live in a strange land, you are still a stranger. That cannot change. No matter how long you are welcomed in your friend's house, he expects you to stand up at a particular time and go back to your own house. And this is the menace of our lives overseas. We have lived it, we have tested it, and we know it is no life. And why is that? Because we do not have the freedom. We do not have the life, the liberty. How many of you have waking up in the morning, said good morning to someone, and they ask you, where are you from? No one would ask you that question if you're in Biafra land, because you are in your father's land. There is mutual respect because they know you have the right to the land. But here, you have to explain yourself and make them know and understand that you have as much right through legal means, through civil means, as they do. But the truth of the matter is that those lives and those rights that you have are achieved. It is not ascribed. What we are fighting for is the rights that were ascribed to us by Chukwu Okike Abiyama, the one that created us and made us indigenous people of Biafra. And now we have marauding forces trying to steal our rights from us. This is why we stand and fight. Just like Naboth in the Bible was killed, he said, let it be an abomination that I will give to you the vineyard of my fathers. And this is the same thing that we are saying today. Let it be an abomination to us that the land of Biafra, our inheritance, our heritage, our rightful place on earth will be taken away from us by foreigner. Today, I was having a conversation at work. Someone walked up to me, came to me, and said, "Oh, I just saw a flag of Biafra, and I remembered you. But I looked it up. I couldn't see it on the map." And I said to him, "Put it on Google." And he did. And what we saw was Bight of Bonny. They've changed it from Bight of Biafra to Bight of Bonny. Why is that? You need to know and understand that whenever someone knows something that is important to your existence and they do not want you to live or to enjoy the beauty of your life, they hide it away from you. And that is what they are trying to do, to hide our identity from the world. Look at the massacre happening. Look at the killings happening. Look at all of the atrocities happening in the zoo. But the world turns a blind eye to it. You need to ask yourself, why? Are you less than human? Or is it because they cannot see or they do not know what's happening to you? No, it is because it's a concerted, coordinated, well thought out plan to stifle your voice, to keep you in perpetual bondage and slavery. That is the reason why. And when we get to understand this, it will help us to stand up in one voice in unison and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough of the subjugation. Enough of the killing. I want to tell us what a theorist studying human beings said. Abraham Maslow, in his hierarchy of needs, he said every human being has basic needs. At the core of his life, like the basic thing that he requires for life, if he's breathing, the first thing that he would want is food. After the food, he said safety. So you have the physiological need, which covers your food, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the water you drink. These are the things that keep you alive. But just after that, once you go beyond the level of being alive, you have a need for safety, to know that your life is preserved. Self-preservation. and I look to our people and wonder, what kind of human beings are we? You don't have safety. You don't have security of life. People are getting killed every day before your very eyes, and you are doing nothing about it. A couple of days ago, a boy was lynched, murdered, and burnt for urinating close to a drainage, close to a mosque. Has there been any arrest for that? No. Is it on social media? Yes. Has there been an outcry about it by the people that you call your leaders? No. Zilch. Yesterday, a lady was shot and killed. A widow trying to fend and get food for her family was shot and killed by a bubago. What is happening? Everybody turns a blind eye. No reaction whatsoever. Couple of weeks ago, in Plateau State, over 200 people massacred. And the village guy that was telling this story said before they could get to pick up the dead corpses, the bodies of the people who were killed, murdered, they had Fulani headsmen already with their cattle eating crops planted by these villagers. And then IPOD of Mazi Kanu has been saying this for ages, and no one seems to listen. No one cares. What do you people need? Do you need Jesus Christ to come down from heaven to talk to you before you know that your life is in danger? Are you less than humans? Human beings stop and think. Even animals, even domesticated animals have brain. They reason. What has happened, people of the East? Abuja is being taken over, and you are interested in the politics. You can't even read the handwriting on the wall. Can Peter D come and tell us why he went to Downing Street? He has been in campaign telling you whatsoever that he thinks you want to hear. But when he doesn't know people are videoing him, he was on a plane and he was saying, a country that you that people will come and say, oh, money stole, goods, termites eat money, foul eat this. What kind of country is that? And he's part of the problem.
He said he wants to build Nigeria. And also, God created Nigeria. He wants to create Nigeria, that there is no country like Nigeria. So that he's coming to create a country for Nigeria. Why did he go to Downing Street? Why? The day you ask yourself that question and get a critical review of it, it will help you to know that he was just going there to be contracted to derail the agitation for the freedom of his people. That's his beat. He has lived in London and owned house in London for over 30 years. But still, he is playing the puppet show. And then you look to whoever, the Tinubu and whoever he's coming with. The very first time they are having that ticket, taking you far away from the politics of the zoo. Because why? You say you hear it from Radio Biafra when it happened. Because they've positioned him to die if there is any election, if there is anything like Nigeria in 2023. Tinubu they will kill him there in the office, and the Hausa man will take over again. Because Atiku is not a Nigerian, and they don't trust him. He can't even go to some Western countries. How do you want him to be Nigerian president? And our people are so horribly stupid. They cannot read the signs of the time to understand that this is the opportunity that Chukwu Okike has presented to us for our perfect freedom. Freedom from this irresponsibility. Freedom from the shame of being another man's creation. Till today, tell me any nation that is a powerful player in the world that was created and is maintaining the status quo of a creation of his fellow human being. No, none. Why? Because every man is destined to follow his chief. Your chief is your creator and your guardian. That is why in our cultural Igbo villages, every village has their own chief. And for normal coexistence, for all Igbo community, you have to respect your religious attributes and value. That is why if you are from Nnamdi, you know about the totem. And you respect the totem of Nnamdi. If you're from Oka, you know the totem of Oka, and you respect it. And if you need anything from the gods of Oka people, you go there and you bow to that god of Oka people, and you get what you want. That has been how we existed. If you want to enjoy the benefits of Edo, you go to Edo. You don't take your gods of Idemili to challenge Edo. It has never been done. And that is why we lived in harmony, because there was a clear demarcation depicting our indigenous communities, their values, their traditional rights, and everything. If you want to marry from Imo, from Olo, you go to Olo and do as the Olo people will do. That is the only time they give you a wife. You don't go from Onita and tell Olo people, oh, no, in Onita, we only use 5 kilos of yam to marry a wife. That means you are looking for trouble, and you will not have a peaceful coexistence. And this is what has been done to us. The imposition, imperialism, the bastardization of our cultural values and innate heritage, the things that were from us, our organic life and lifestyle, were bastardized by the barrel of the gun. And you want us to have peace? No, you can never have peace. You can never have peace when you go into a Buddha temple with a Bible. And you can never have peace when you go into a Christian church with a Quran. You will never have peace until you go back to your roots, understand who you are, fight for your identity, uphold your identity, and then engage in respectful and mutual association with others. That is why if you want to go to another country, identity, to that country and say, this is my identity. Can I come in? That's the same thing we need to do. And like our leader said, only Biafra can give us that back. Only in Biafra, Chinua Achebe wrote and said, in Biafra, Africa died. Because in the whole of Africa, only Ethiopia, as it stands, were uncolonized. And today, even in Ethiopia, we've got the Tigray. We've got the countries that do not believe in it, going away from them. And in Biafra, we shall have our identity back. We shall be called by our name, and respectfully also. Now, for people who do not understand the impending danger, because our people are blind,
in the good book, it says, they listen, they hear, but they do not understand. They look, but they do not see. I challenge you today, any Northerner, any Fulani, up to 12 countries in Africa that he can go into and take an identity with under 12 minutes. Under 12 minutes. They have Chad, they have Niger, they have Cameroon, they have Mauritania, they have Guinea, they have Togo, Senegal, Gambia, Mali. All these countries, they can go into and take an identity. But you, as an Easterner, you can never escape from Nigeria. So whatever they do with Nigeria comes back to you. They are building Niger today. Where will you run to? They are taking over Abuja. Where will you run to? Will you run to Cameroon? No, they won't accept you because you're different. The only place that you can go to as a Biafra is Amazonia. Is Amazonia free? They are still fighting to be free. And every day we say and talk about them. But our people think it's all about money. All about, since if the market opens, then there is no problem. We only know there is a problem when we can no longer go to the market. Our people say, Agalando, Paco, Abalio Nilo. And that is what we've been doing in that contraption called Nigeria. You build the economy. You are building it for the Fulani. Now, even your crops, your farmland, you plant crops, nurture it, do everything. They wait for it to grow. They bring in their cattle and feed on it. And if you say anything, they kill you. The natural resources in your part, they drain it. It's a national resource. And they take it. They tell you it's their own. But they discover gold in the north is for the north. It's managed by the state, not federal. You do your business, you import your goods, they take it. You try to build roads, they bring in their police and their army, and they stay on the road and extort you. You go to school, you pay fees to them, at the end of the day, you graduate. They give you a piece of paper that is useless. And then most of you that do businesses, maybe you go into offices for a business and you see someone who has lesser qualifications
that you do have sitting in that office, commanding you, telling you what money to bring, what bribe to bring, or they will take your goods. And you want to continue in that. And you tell me God is happy with you. God is ashamed that he created you. He has given you the life and the ability to reason and to stand up for yourself and for your kids. But what are you doing? You are lying down and saying, God will take control. God is not interested in Nigeria. God is not interested in any country in the world. People make their country what it is. Tomorrow, if Sri Lanka succeeds, changes their government, changes the plight, you people who believe in God will come and say, oh, God did it for them. No, God did not do it for them. God did not do it for them. People change their situation. God is done with the business of the world. He is done. You make your life what it becomes by understanding. He has given you the brain to reason, understanding your situation, having a critical reflection on how to better your laws, and working assiduously. That plan. That's the only time God looks at you and says, yes, that is my good creation. If you go into a production plan, it is only one machine that is in that production plan. But in the course of producing 1,000 of the same product, you will have 800 that come out good. And then you will have about 200 that are less of range. That is why you have damaging in production. And what would the producer do? He will either recycle them or sell them for cheaper or chuck them away. That is what God has done. He has created you. It's either you turn out good or you turn out bad. It is your problem. I'm trying to say, for people who are going to church and praying, pray from today till 100 years to come. Your problem is when you stop praying and open your eyes, you will still see your problem there, waiting for you. But when you pray and work, you will get the results. What does prayer do? It prepares your psychological mind, changes the terrain of your thoughts. And what does the work do? Helping you accomplish that thing that you thought in your mind. That is how life works. That is why some people carry Bible in their market and they are poor. And people who never go to church for once, they are rich.
and tomorrow he will turn a pastor and tell you God has called him. No, God did not call you. You did not do your job. You did not open your shop at the right time for your customers to come in. You did not maintain a relationship with your customers. You weren't thinking about your business. We need to wake up, my people, because this fight, if we do not kill Nigeria, Nigeria will kill all of us. Just us. It will kill our generation to come. Some of us, your problem doesn't end with you. It goes on to the next generation, and to the next, and to the next. But if you conquer your problem, then you create an avenue for your generations to come to enjoy the sufferings of today. Mazi Kanu cannot stay 1 year incarcerated, unjustly incarcerated, for our Biafra. 5 million people will not die and perish, buried in shallow graves. We understand what it means to bury people not in their private graves, not in their homeland, in Anibu. It's an aberration. It's an anomaly, but we have gone through this. It's an anomaly that people will be killed in droves. We have gone through this. Men have fallen trying to protect this, our identity and our land. And you want to have a jamboree for this. The nature and the land of Biafra will kill you if you play with this. Because what we are doing is both spiritual and natural. Because our identity must be restored. It must be restored. And we do not apologize for that. We do not apologize for creation, for making us who we are. Our ancestors never did. And not in this generation will we do that. We are Biafran. And in Biafra, our dignity will be restored. Ekekelowa, keke afọ, kengwo kruli, ekenem, ana Biafra, ana tobelo nne na nna anyị, ndị mụrụ anyị, ndị mbụ, anyị ekene. Ọ ga-adịla anyị na mma, ọ ga-adịla onye ilu na mma, dịla onye azụ na mma. Anyị debe anyị eje ọfụma, anyị nawa anyị anọ ọfụma. Ụzọ anyị ụzọ mmiri. Ise. Thank you, Mazi, for this opportunity to talk to our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mazi. Well spoken, and I say to that prayer declaration. I would like to invite our last speaker, Mazi ALOZIE, please.
to make this contribution. Pass over to you.
Mazi ALOZIE, I wouldn't want to take much time. I believe the previous speakers have said it all. And there is no need to say much because everything has been laid bare. As in a word is enough for the word. They've touched pretty much everything, and the justice to all the topics. I believe our people, I think in the first place, I think the Biafrans and the friends of Biafrans all over the world will also give ear to our admonitions on Radio Biafra, where we worship, a sacred place where our leader, Mazi Nnamdi, had adorned. He's always spoken to us through Radio Biafra. We get some privilege to at least continue that which he instituted, admonishing our people on how to stay true to themselves and never waver from this course of Biafran restoration movement. All the previous speakers have touched all the topics I would have contributed on, but I will say just one thing. You who is listening, you have your own reasoning as well. The guide, the compass has been given to you to navigate yourself properly. You on the boat, you have the paddle. Paddle yourself to the right destination. There is nothing in Nigeria that is designed to help any Biafran. It doesn't matter how appealing they may appear. Nothing, I mean nothing in Nigeria is designed for the good of any Biafran. Even those who are still living in denial, who say they are not Biafrans, time will come when you will be the one speaking more than those who are talking to us today. There is nothing from the foundation of whatever they call it, amalgamation or whatsoever, that brought that union, that contraption together. Nothing about it is designed for the good of or growth of any Biafran. Take it or leave it. Everybody who has spoken this evening spoke very eloquently, beautiful. And the advice is there for you. You can play this video over again, this audio over again to advise yourself. Sit down and ask yourself, what does Nigeria have for me? Or what has Nigeria ever given you? Only pains. Bloodshed everywhere. Biafrans have suffered more than any other ethnic nationality in that country. In contraption, pardon my word. In that contraption, Biafrans have suffered more than any other ethnic nationality. And again, Biafrans have been the ones building that nation as if they wanted or they loved the unity. They wanted the unity, thinking if they build the nation all across the length and breadth of that nation, the contraption, Biafrans have been the ones making it the one Nigeria that they seek for.
other nationalities seek for. They have been the ones living that practically. Yet they are the most hated and the most marginalized. I want to just conclude by saying that leave us, let us go. Leave us, let us go. And we are doing everything this time, no going back. At the point where we are, there is no going back anymore. It doesn't matter what you bring on our plate, however delicious it may look. We are moving forward and we are going. Even if we remain few, after your killings, you are sending your missionaries down to our region, using your puppets you put in installed as governors, the administrators, to perpetuate the evil you want to happen there. No problem. But one thing I want to make these protractors to know is your killings will not deter us. It will never deter us. We are strong, resilient, and never backing out and never giving up. Just bear that in mind. But it doesn't matter how many people you kill to put fear in us. The more you kill, the more you raise more lions. Mazi, I want to yield back to you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I thank Biafrans all over the world. Continue to pray for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Thank you. Thank you, Mazi ALOZIE. Thank you for your brief but right on target contribution. Very rich summary of all what we've said tonight. And at this point, we're bringing it to closure. We are thanking all of you, our listeners, our audience. So thank you, Mazi, for giving us the opportunity to be part of tonight's program. All what we've said here they've come from a place of experience, life experience, genuine life experience, and passion for our motherland. And so we are asking you to reflect on what we've shared tonight and be passionate for what you believe. Stand for what you believe, because Biafra is our right, and it's
peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, the world, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television. This is the only television in the world, in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, that talks about Africa. What ails Africa? What kills Africa? Where are we? Why are we the continent with perennial conflicts? Why are our people abusing human rights? Why are people being killed? Why is there Boko Haram? Why is there Al-Shabaab? Why is there a war in northern Mozambique? Today, from Cairo to Cape Town, Dar es Salaam to Lagos, Lagos to Abuja, Abuja to Port Harcourt, Gabon. Today, from Maputo to Rwanda, Kinshasa, Accra, Tripoli. What is happening in Tripoli makes Africa look a very bad continent. My show this morning is a simple show. I'm going to see what we can do for Africa. I have stood firm for the last 5 years. I've stood firm on this television station, stood by the people of Biafra. I am not going to be intimidated, but I will ask the questions that are supposed to be asked. General Buhari has not answered my questions for the last 5 good years. I have sent messages for them to answer why people in that great nation of Africa, with a population of 220 million people, why are people dying? Why are human rights abuses taking place? Why are tribes, the Fulani killing the Igbo, Christians being killed by Islamists, Boko Haram taking people, killing people day and night, abducting young girls who should be in school? I want General Buhari. I am also a general. I left the army with a rank lower than yours, but in the rank of a brigadier general by rebel activities that I've conducted worldwide to the struggle for my country. We shook hands and we left. But I want to ask a question. Why have you left Nigeria to collapse, an economic big hub for the people of Africa? We look at you with the huge population, and you are there as a president, claiming to be a president. That you have no moral authority. You promised people in your first term, General Buhari, that you will finish Boko Haram in 100 days. Are you part of Boko Haram? These are the questions that I want to put across. Our television station wants people to understand why Nigeria is collapsing, why Nigeria is disintegrating. Is there a state called Nigeria anymore? Because I don't see it. It has fallen to bandits, hostage takers, kidnappers, Boko Haram, people coming, corruption, people coming in the southeast, killing people. The people of Onitsha. I have a friend in Onitsha who always documents everything. And by the way, Buhari, I'm also an international lawyer. I'm waiting for Fatou Bensouda to leave the scene. If they have spared you there, I'm going to take you there. I have a right as a citizen, as a member of the United Nations, as a member of International Criminal Court. My country has signed a signatory to ICC. I'll deliver you there. It doesn't need a Nigerian to deliver you in the ICC. So take notes on this show. And understand, we are not joking. You might joke with Nigerians whom you cut their limbs off every day. But some of us are going to take serious international channels to make sure that you land in whether you wait as a president today or a former president. You will be answerable to the atrocities that you have committed against the people of Nigeria and the Biafran people. Thank you very much. My guest today in the studio, whom I'm interviewing, this is the general headquarters of Punchline Africa Television. We want to take the opportunity to thank the government of Republic of Kenya, the East African community, the African continent, for listening to our plea, giving us the freedom to discuss issues that destroy Africa. We have no regrets for stating statements truthfully what is going on in Africa. The truth is that there is no Nigeria anymore. And if Africans are waiting for Nigeria, and they go to AU and they say, we have Nigeria, we have Buhari, maybe we have Buhari 6.1 feet, but we don't have Nigeria. I have no good words. His Excellency, President Buhari, has to pull up his socks. We are crying for the Nigerians, for the state of Nigeria. It is collapsing. The killings, the murder, the rape, the defilement, the destruction of property, the slaughter of youth, because of one thing they ask for, freedom to express themselves, is what makes me very upset. But let me cool down and I come to my guest. My guest today is Mr. Mazi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra. Welcome to the show, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for having me on your wonderful program today. It's an honor. I've been looking forward to for a very long time. For very many years, we've been watching, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you very much. Today, we are honored, and we want to start off by giving you a chance for us to know you, because many of my people in Kenya, and as you are aware, Kenya is the chairperson of Africa Peace Security Council. The authorities in this country, Kenya, are watching. They want to know the difficulties that you have. Two, Kenya also has a lot of Nigerian refugees who have come to Kenya to apply for asylum, especially from the southeast of the Biafran area. They are here, and we should not keep quiet and tell lies. There are many here. They want to know in East Africa, in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Zimbabwe. I've found very many of them. Zimbabwe has given them a lot of asylum. We want to know you. Who are you, sir?
I am Mazi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. I represent every aspiration and hope that over 70 million people harbor all over the world. Our job is to restore Biafra in peace and not in pieces by seeking a very simple route via a UN supervised referendum or plebiscite, as the case may be. We are here to restore our land to the way it was before the white man came. What we are doing is nothing against Nigeria per se. What we are trying to say is Nigeria as presently constituted is not working, and we are doing all we can to try to raise the levels of human development, of our understanding, education, health sector, the economy, and all the rest of it. If we continue to remain in Nigeria, not just are we going to suffer, but the whole continent of Africa is going to suffer as a result, as a consequence of the ineptitude, the corruption, the backwardness, the retrogressive mindset of the people who are presently in charge of that very place. Initially, most people tend to see us as not being Pan-African enough. I am a Pan-Africanist. I believe in the unity of the African states. My preference will be for Africa to have one nation, one government, one people, even one language if that is possible. I am a subscriber to the very fine influence of Kiswahili amongst the people of East Africa. And I wouldn't mind if that were to be the lingua franca for sub-Saharan Africa. I don't mind at all. But we must face reality and we must face facts. We as Africans are tribal by nature. We are ethnic by nature. That is why every Christmas, every Easter, every celebration that we have, we go back to where we come from. We go to our villages, we go to our town. That is who we are. And we're not going to deny that. What we are trying to do is to reassert who we are before the white man came and destroyed every vestige of honor and dignity that we once had. And in Biafra, we are going to restore that. And from Biafra, the rest of Black Africa will also be free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for explaining the position of Pan-Africanism. Because critics talk about, as much as we are Pan-African station, we always talk about Pan-African unity. But I've argued my case before the AU, and they said, you cannot talk of Pan-African unity. One part of Africa is bleeding. How that cannot be? In Nigeria, there's one party bleeding. In Gabon, Cameroon, there's one party bleeding. We can't talk about Pan-African and leave people who are bleeding. I am happy that you have touched the word Pan-Africanism. Many Africans, including your former leaders, have said Nigeria needs rearrangement. I picked something from you. I want to see this rearrangement. What is this? Babangida. Former President Babangida said Nigeria needs a rearrangement because it can't work anymore. The marriage cannot work. It is true that the marriage cannot work. It is true that the people, the Igbo, are discriminated. When they go to Abuja, they are told, go home. Where yet the home is Nigeria. Abuja is Nigeria. I've done investigative work undercover, and I've discovered all these things. I'm not being told by you. But I've been with my Nigerian people who have actually ended up being discriminated in their own country. So given this scenario, I want to find out from you, from what perspective do you think Africa should come in, the whole of Africa should come in to bring the plight of the Biafran people, the indigenous people, whom you have been fighting for? How do we come in as Pan-Africans?
How you can come in is by doing what very courageous leaders in Africa did in relation to the case of South Sudan. Because in the case of Nigeria, the center can no longer hold. Everyone knows, the whole world is aware of the fact that we are ideologically, psychologically, culturally, religiously, and socially diverse. There is no meeting point. It's a very good thing that you talked about East Africa, for instance. In East Africa, there is some semblance of cohesion because Kiswahili is the lingua franca. Perhaps somebody from Uganda may understand somebody, or let's say some people from Tanzania. Some Tanzanians may be able to understand somebody, let's say, from Rwanda, because they speak the same language, they have the same understanding. So that is the basis for building something called a national cohesion. In the case of Nigeria, that is conspicuously absent. It doesn't exist. Now, the fact of the matter is this. Africa, the way it is presently set up and constituted, are merely colonial constructs, where you have people coexisting happily together. Perhaps they are very fortunate. In the case of West Africa and Nigeria in particular, I have nothing, and I repeat, nothing in common with your average Fulani person. I have more things in common with even a white British person than I do with a Fulani person. I mean, we have nothing in common. Their value system is markedly different from ours. We cannot see eye to eye. I give a very simple example. The recent case of the banning of the movement of cattle on foot in the southern part of Nigeria, for instance. In the north, that is a normal thing for them to have. But in the south, it is absolutely strange having people walking around your neighborhood with AK-47. At the slightest provocation, they kill people. That type of culture is alien to those of us from the south. And that's what we are trying to say. And it's a very good thing that we are not alone in seeking for a distinct, or should I say, separate identity. Our Oduduwa, our Yoruba brothers are also asking for the same thing, because they too have come to the realization that this Nigeria is unworkable. The Middle Belt is doing the same thing. It is not born out of hatred for anybody. That is the mistake that people keep making all the time. Most analysts and, should I say, news journalists tend to think that somehow we hate Nigeria. Of course, that is not the case. What we deplore, what we detest and cannot live with is the level of hypocrisy, the level of ethnic jingoism going on, being, of course, perpetrated by the Fulani people. And this is what I want all Pan-Africans to be able to see, that Biafra will be there piloting and moving the affairs of the whole of Africa forward. Because we have said it repeatedly, without Biafra standing on its own, the rest of Africa will continue to suffer and to flounder. And for us to be able to get to where we are supposed to be to, there has to be a very comprehensive and holistic rearrangement of the present state of Nigeria. You are well aware. I asked you to go and read at the comments and statements coming from Katina Lang, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, for the every international norm and diplomatic protocol. That's what is happening in Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't exist as a country. It's not a nation. It's not a state. Nigeria is just a merely business enterprise. That everyone with a vested interest in Nigeria, by which I mean most European countries with their companies in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, all they want to do is to exploit and to take away without adding anything in. Ogoni hasn't been cleaned up. People are dying in river states right across from Igbocha and then the coastal region. Everywhere you go, there is mayhem and disorder. In Lagos this morning, the same thing. Everywhere you go to, Nigeria is crumbling because there is a palpable agenda of the Fulani Janjaweed Caliphate to take over the lands belonging to indigenous populations. And we have said no to that. We're not going to allow it, and we're not going to have it.
Okay. Thank you very much. You brought me to a very serious question. A question that has been nagging both the locals, Africans on the continent, and the question of external darker forces. You have just mentioned people who are running the show, the oil companies, for example. They are watching. They have never raised anything on BBC, CNN, or international agencies. We don't hear, apart from we struggling as Africans ourselves. These agencies are not helping to say there are human rights abuses in Nigeria. For example, Nigeria, the American embassy closed its consulate in Abuja because of the huge numbers of people applying for asylum to go to the United States. But American embassy did not go far, and the American government did not go far to condemn and put sanctions on Buhari for failing to contain the malaise that has killed Nigeria. Two, if you look at the Total Oil, Shell BP, they have taken part in extraction of minerals, oil, and so on and so forth. They are doing it when they are seeing human rights abuses in southeast of Nigeria. What do you say about that?
It is because we allowed them to. Total is an oil company, is a private concern. Of course, it's a huge corporation, we know that. The same goes for Shell, for BP, for Halliburton, for ExxonMobil, and all the rest of them. They operate the way they like in Africa because we've allowed them to. I was in Texas a few months ago. Most of these oil companies are there. But the type of environmental degradation and damage that we're witnessing in Biafra land do not obtain in Texas, because there they have laws governing their operation, how they exploit, how they, extract and distribute this very vital natural resource. But because Nigeria, I think it's a cliche that Nigeria is corrupt. What people don't understand is the depth of the damaging effect of corruption that you have. And I'll give a very simple example. We cannot expect white people to have regard for us when we do not have regard for ourselves. That can never, ever happen. Do you know that in Nigeria they import fuel? Are you aware that Nigeria imports petrol?
Yes, I've seen the queue. I've seen the queue at the petrol station, yes.
Do you know that Nigeria imports kerosene? Oh. They have 5 viable state-of-the-art refineries. Not one of them is functioning, not one single one. When white people are operating in such an environment, seeing how foolish and how stupid the entire country is in terms of their priorities, how do you then expect them to have respect for you or have regard for you? They can go into our land, they can pollute it. Katrina Lang, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, can be running the show, or she likes, because there seems to be a recognition that these people do not reason like human beings. That is the fact. That is the fact. Tell me what an ambassador will be doing, crisscrossing the entire nation, telling them how to run their security architecture, telling them who to kill and who to spare. Our lawyer had the mom killed 2 days ago. Okorafo, Barrister Okorafo, the mother was assassinated only 2 days ago, all because he was exposing what the army is doing to innocent people. That tells you all you need to know about Nigeria. Nigeria is an albatross around the neck of Africa. Nigeria is the only country in Africa actually dragging Black Africa backwards because of their ineptitude, because of their criminal mindset, and because of the drive of the Fulani to dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. That is the problem. There is nothing wrong with Islam, don't get me wrong. There are some very wrong interpretations of the religion of Muhammad that the Fulanis and because of the drive of the Fulani to dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. That is the problem. There is nothing wrong with Islam, don't get me wrong. There are some very wrong interpretations of the religion of Muhammad that the Fulanis
IPOB, one family. IPOB, one family. Asimu Homo Biafra. IPOB, one family. Undichi Meleze Nama. IPOB, one family. Nnamdi Kanu, Ogalanya Oyendo Ndigo. Oramadi Kanye Kugenazo. Oramadi Kanye Kugenazo. Mbakana ya moso yana. IPOB, one family. IPOB, one family. Asimu Homo Biafra. IPOB, one family. Undichi Meleze Nama. IPOB, one family. Nnamdi Kanu, Ogalanya Oyendo Ndigo. Oramadi Kanye Kugenazo. Oramadi Kanye Kugenazo. Mbakana ya moso yana.